Andrea Tolzmann, and I am going to be presenting on Chapter 7, Word Study for Learners in the Syllables and Affixes stage. So during this stage, students develop literacy skills by learning where the syllable and the morpheme breaks occur in words so that they can use the appropriate chunks to read, spell, and determine the meanings of multisyllable words. Students will study the generalizations that determine how syllables are joined together in words, and they will also learn how affixes, which are both prefixes and suffixes, affect the meaning of words, and in the case of suffixes, can change the spelling of the base word. And then also throughout this stage, reading will become the main source of most new vocabulary words that students will be learning. To promote orthographic development during this stage, students are ready to begin studying multisyllabic words, and this means that the students must learn to analyze and consider the spelling patterns for more than one syllable for each word. So part of this word study is learning about the syllable juncture, which is the intersection in a word where two syllables meet. So multisyllabic words can have more than one syllable juncture. And during this stage, students will learn about different syllable juncture patterns to determine if there are open or closed syllables in the word. They'll learn about which vowel sound, whether it's a short or a long sound, is used in each of the syllables, and they'll learn what syllable is accented in the word. So determining each of these components helps the learner make sense of the meaning of the word. When providing word study instruction during this stage, students need to adequately master the within word spelling patterns, and so that they can really focus on the unfamiliar parts of these new multisyllabic words that are still challenging to them. So to prepare students for this, they may need to review spelling patterns and generalizations that they learned in prior stages. And that also they really know you ensure that they know the base words before introducing affixes to word study. Broadly speaking, learning affixes means that students need to understand how prefixes and suffixes can affect the meaning of the words and also change the spelling of the base word. So for example, inflectional endings, which are things like adding s or ed or ing to the end of a word, do not significantly change the meaning of the base word. But derivational affixes, which include prefixes like re and un or con, and suffixes like li and full and less, those can change the meaning and also the grammatical function of the base word along with the spelling. So at this stage, students will also be learning more new vocabulary words through reading texts and studying the morphemic structure of the words. This means that those are the specific elements that make up a word. And all of this is to make sense of unfamiliar words. But not every new word that they're going to be learning is going to be a spelling word. Sometimes the new vocabulary words are very content specific and not always suitable for studying spelling patterns. So during this stage, word sorts may be more meaningful if they are helping students make the connections between spelling and the meanings of the words, kind of like a concept sort or something like that might be more helpful for students. So word study in this stage definitely turns more towards vocabulary and understanding the morphology or the building blocks of words. Students can be in this stage for up to 2 years, and it's important not to be rushed through the stage because it doesn't set them up well for the vocabulary to come. When planning the sequencing and the pacing of word study in the syllables and affixes stage, teaching strategies and use of spelling tools can help students make spelling meaning connections that they can use then in their writing. Also, hands-on word study activities can help students solidify these techniques, and it's really important to pay attention to the things in English that English language learners are going to learn that are different than what might be present in their native language, so helping them with those differences. All right, so the first activity we're going to do, it's actually a variety of activities, are all about word study dictionary assignments. These activities help students realize how resourceful and useful a dictionary can be. It is important to say that these lessons are using this type of a lesson is completely dependent on having provided explicit instruction to students about how to use a dictionary. Whether that's a printed or an online dictionary doesn't matter, but they really have to know how to use a dictionary, find words in a dictionary, and know those functions of a dictionary before you can assign something like this. The purpose of this activity is to make sure that students have plenty of opportunities and a variety of ways to reinforce those dictionary skills, while also supporting deeper understanding of syllabication and spelling patterns that are related to affixes. The materials that will be needed are something to write in, whether that's a word study notebook or some kind of paper and pencil that you want them to use. They need to have their weekly word list. That's the things they're going to be looking up. and then some form of a dictionary, a print version or an online dictionary on a computer or a tablet. All right, let's take a look at how this activity works.
Hi, my first activity is actually related to weekly word study dictionary activities. And so these are all related to using the dictionary to extend word study. So as I mentioned before, all of these activities do require that a student does know how to use the basics of a dictionary, how to look up words and use the guide words and that sort of thing. So that would have to be taught before you could be assigning dictionary activities. But I think there's a lot of value that comes way more than just learning how to spell a word or look up definitions that can come from learning how to use a dictionary. So I think these are valuable for extending word study. So this first activity, there's actually kind of 3 activities. You can mix these up, or you could assign one each week, or however you want to break it up, depending on, you could differentiate level of difficulty or assign specific things for specific students and what they need and could benefit from this dictionary study. So the first thing is you would have to assume they have a word study list. So I created a 10-word list that is 2-syllable words. And so the first activity could be using a dictionary to look up where that syllable juncture happens in a word. In a dictionary, when you look up a word, it shows you where that syllable juncture or that break between 2 syllables or multi-syllables happens in a word. So by using the dictionary, they can see that broken down in front of them and then write that down to reinforce how those syllables are 2 different parts of the word. I will also say that sometimes it's useful to use a print dictionary just as the skill of having this, but not everybody has a print dictionary, or in the classroom, an online dictionary might be more, they might have more access to it because they can look up words quickly on a phone or whatever they may have at home, or a Chromebook in the classroom. So I'll show you both, an online dictionary and the printed. So for the first word on our word list, which is tablet, I have, just to make it a little quicker, I have already found the word in our dictionary. I could not find a small dictionary in my house, so I have this massive thing. And we have the word tablet here, which I know is very tiny. I'm going to try to scoot it in, but you can see sort of that tablet in the dictionary, there's like a space between tab and let. There's actually a little dot in between them that shows the syllable juncture. So if students were looking up these words, when they find the word, they would see where the syllables break. And they could then write that down as tab and then a dot and then let, to show that they understand the syllable juncture in these 2 words. They could also take it further and learn about closed syllables or open syllables. In these cases, both of these syllables are closed syllables because they end in the consonant sound. And so they could extend this word study in a couple different ways in learning about the syllable relationship. Now I'm going to move to sharing my screen and show an online version for the next example. So let me share my screen. And wait, where did my dictionary go? Here we go. So now you can see my dictionary, and we're going to look up the word winter, which is the next word on their list. And we can see right now in our dictionary online, again, right when we see the word here, we can see win, then a dot, ter, and we see the 2 syllables in the word winter. And so they'd be able to write down winter. This same kind of activity, they can look up words, and they could be looking, the second activity would be looking for the emphasis or the accented syllable in a word. And dictionaries also show you that. So if we look at the word winter that we're looking at right now, we can see that tiny little, it's like an apostrophe that's in front of the word indicates that that is the accented syllable in this word. And so we can see that, and if we were asking students to look in the dictionary to find out which syllable is accented, they would be able to see that little marker and they would know what to look for that syllable accent. And we could look up another word on their list. Let's look up, since we're talking about winter, let's look up shiver. And we see, again, there's our little accent on there that tells us which syllable is accented. This example also shows us a word that has an open syllable followed by a closed syllable. So all kinds of ways to extend this word study. And another nice thing about an online dictionary is there is the pronunciation button.
Shiver.
So that a student learning an unfamiliar new word could actually listen to that word and hear how it's pronounced. So those are all benefits of using the online dictionary or looking up for syllable study. The third activity is actually related to prefixes. And this one you could, again, use a print dictionary or you could use an online dictionary. For this case, just because I've already got it up here, I'm going to look it up here. So this would be where you give a student, and this would be great for partner work, give students a prefix. In this case, let's use the prefix re, R-E, and give them one word, rebuild, and then have them brainstorm about other words that start with the prefix re, and then look those words up in a dictionary to see what they mean and see if they can construct meaning about all these words that have the same prefix. And then they can sort those words to understand how that prefix influences the words from when they attach the prefix at the beginning of a word to the base word. So they could come up with words like, and I just brainstormed them some ideas that students might come up with on their own and then look up in the dictionary. There could be rebuild, reflect, refresh. And here I have in the printed, here I'm going to stop sharing and show you in the print version of the dictionary just to expedite it. I found reflect, which is down here. And if you found reflect, you could use your dictionary skills to know that refresh would be somewhere kind of close by because we have similar letters to start the word, R-E-F, and then look for R. And so we could find refresh. If we don't have to look too far on the page to find that. So again, it's just getting students comfortable with using a dictionary to learn more about the word than what they initially thought they could do. So that's what this activity would help with. All right, thank you.
All right, so the modifications that could be made to this to help diverse learners would, a great one would be to encourage them to use an online dictionary. This is going to minimize the cognitive load for them instead of searching through a big book looking for one little word where they have to use a lot of alphabetic skills to do that. So using an online dictionary where they can type in one word is going to be a huge modification for diverse learners that's very helpful. But if you do have a student that needs to use a printed dictionary or wants to for some reason, providing an alphabet anchor chart where they can look at the order of the letters and figure out what comes before and after letters that they're looking for is also going to be a helpful modification if they're using a printed dictionary. Other modifications for diverse learners could be a smaller number of words that they have to search for, or providing pictures of words that support understanding. For English learners, providing a bilingual dictionary, or even better, a bilingual picture dictionary in their native language is going to really help improve their comprehension of the word they're searching for in English. So that's a really great modification. Also, that if they're doing prefix study, especially if their native language is rooted in Latin, like English, there's going to be a lot of shared prefixes, and that can be something that if you choose prefixes that are familiar from their native language, that's going to help with learning and practicing these skills. Choosing words they already know, smaller number of words, and using pictures are also great ways to help English learners. All right, activity 2 is called Double Scoop, and this is a board game that students are going to use, primarily helping the students review and master spelling patterns when adding inflectional endings of ed and ing. So we're going to focus on consonant doubling and e drop, and also no change as the inflectional endings. This game works great with small groups of 2 to 4 students, and the materials needed are a game board, these sentence cards that have the words with inflectional endings on them. You need player pieces to keep track of where they are on the board, and dice, either 1 dice or 2. And then you need either a small whiteboard or a piece of paper printed with these headings and columns for writing the words, which you will see when I demonstrate the game. Here's Double Scoop.
So I'm going to be demonstrating the Double Scoop game that is teaching and helping kids practice inflectional endings of words in the syllable and affixes stage. So in this game, I have the game set up. This can be played by 2 to 4 players. In this case, I'm just going to demonstrate what it would be like if 2 players played. I've got my game board here. I've got my sheet that the students are going to be writing their responses on, and this will be used, all students will use the same board, whether they will be determining if it's a double consonant inflectional ending, an E drop, or a no change inflectional ending. I've got a couple of pieces that can be used as game pieces. It doesn't matter what those are as long as they're markers on the game board. I have a dice. You could also use 2 dice if you want the game to move faster, and of course a pencil. And then the last thing you need is these sentence cards. In these sentence cards, there is a word that is the word that has the change from a base word to a word with an inflectional ending. Those are underlined. One student will read the card, the other student will write down the answer on the paper. And so they will read the card and then they will read the underlined word again. So they don't show this to the other student. I'm just showing you what it looks like. So I'm just going to demonstrate how to play the game using these cards. These will be face down on the table. One student will pick up a card and read it. Allison grabbed the apple to eat. Allison grabbed the apple to eat. Grabbed. The other student has to determine, is grabbed a double consonant inflectional ending, an E drop, or a no change? Grabbed, they would determine, is a double consonant because the base word is grab and they're doubling the consonant and adding an ED. They would write that on there. If that is correct and matches the sentence when they compare them, then that student rolls the dice. They got a 3 and they move their token 1, 2, 3 spaces, and it's the other person's turn. Now the person who just wrote down the word is now the reader. It's going to read the sentence. I was hoping to get new shoes. I was hoping to get new shoes. Hoping. All right. Now the other student is listening to the word hoping, determining is it double consonant, E drop, or no change, would say that is the base word is hope, and that's an E drop. Write it on the E drop section. They would compare. Yep, that's correct. Roll the dice, and they got a 6. I don't know if you can see that. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it would go on so on back and forth until somebody gets to the end and gets their double scoop of ice cream. So there are words in these sentence strips that are all examples, including double consonant with ED, double consonant with ING, E drop with both ED and ING, and no change with ED and ING, so that they have all possible examples of what could work while they're playing the game, of what they have to determine. And that is a double scoop.
All right, so modifications that could be made to double scoop for diverse learners would include, you could use sentences with only one type of inflectional ending so that the students can really practice that one pattern. So you might just pick double consonants with ED and ING, or just double consonants with ED, and then you could scaffold up from there. So that's going to be something great for diverse learners. Other options could be you could roll 2 dice instead of 1. By rolling 2 dice, they make fewer stops along the game board, and so they'll get around a little quicker. They'll still spell words, but maybe not quite as many. And then they could also, just ahead of time before playing the game, really make sure that they've mastered spelling the base words so that that's not a frustration point for them when they're playing the game. For English learners, similarly, you want to make sure that they know the base words, that you choose base words that they already know, and that they have mastered the spelling of those base words so that that's not a point at which they are struggling, but then they can focus on those inflectional endings. And then also using 2 dice instead of 1 so that they make some fewer stops, but they still get practice spelling words as they go around the game. So that's my 2 activities and my presentation about syllables and the affixes stage of spelling. All right, thank you.